No belief, you can't say, I believe in this, I believe in that, I believe, and don't act upon it? What's that? That's what they call in English casuistry. It's what we call nifaq. Nifaq. The people do that, and munafiqeen. You say you believe, then act upon your belief. Step one. Step two, seek knowledge of the Rasulullah. Seek knowledge of the Rasulullah. How do you seek knowledge of the Rasulullah? Alhamdulillah, the people came in the 3rd, 4th century, Muslim, Bukhari, and all of the 6 Sahih, Al-Muwatta, Riyadh, Salihin, all these books are filled with the knowledge of the life of the Rasulullah. Open them, like the Quran that sits on the shelf. Don't leave it. Some people have a beautiful match set. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, yeah, this is my Muslim, this is my Bukhari, here's Daata quickly, here's Ibn Majah, etc. What's that? You open the book, it never was open. This came from the bookstore, nobody looked at it. How will you know unless you read? How will you know? That's what he always said in the beginning, Iqra bismi rabbika. And he said, Alam al-insan ma lam ya'lam. He teach the human being what they did not know. You don't know, I don't know. Take that book, read it, finish, read it through. How long it takes to read? Maybe a year, then read it again, then read it again, then read it again, then read it again. Make that your reading material until you begin to know, who is this Rasulullah? Who is he? How did he live? Who were his friends? Who were his wives? Who were close to him? Who were these people who were near to him and dear to him? How did this happen? How did that happen? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? How did this ayat come down? When did this ayat come down? Then you begin to develop a knowledge of the Rasulullah until it becomes alive, because لا تقول لما يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. Don't say that those who died in the way of Allah are dead. They're living, but you do not know how. But if you don't know him, how will you know how he's living? Because you won't even know who he was. You know, yes, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, you may even say that he was our prophet, but what do you know about him? What do you know about his life? What do you understand? But that's the way to learn about it. Get the Shifa of Qadi ibn Iyad. Read it. Yes, read it. It's in English. I'm sure it's in Urdu. It's in Arabic originally. You know, any one of those people here speaking that, I'm sure it's in the language of Indonesia as well. So I see some of our brothers from Indonesia here. Read it. And if you can't, you say that's difficult to read, one's written in the present time. You find The Way of Muhammad by Martin Lings and people like this. Read it. That's made in simple English for people in the present time. Read it. That way you begin to know who is Muhammad. You begin to develop. Every time you see this mahfil or something like this, come to it. Because people like this or like this or like that, they sit here and they talk about this. We're just mouths. You know, we're just speaking. We're speaking what's in your heart. We don't, you understand that if you don't hear it, if you don't place yourself in proximity, if these ideas and understandings don't come into your mind and into your heart, you won't know. And if you don't know, how will your children know? They won't know. And you'll lose them. Third thing, willingness to defend him and his sunnah. In the present day, the people talk about him on two sides. Either the extremists on the Muslim side who have come to the understanding that Muhammad is nothing more than a super attenuated delivery boy who brought a message. They refuse to even believe that there's any miracles attached, the mu'ajizat that are attached to him. They say, oh, his mu'ajizat is the Quran. Okay, that's the only one there is. Nothing more beyond that. He's just like a delivery man who brought this thing. So for Allah, this is the truth. This is one side of it. The other side of it are the people who hate him. The Daniel Pipes and all of these people with all of their garbage on the TVs and on the radios and the newspapers who are painting an ugly picture of him. How do you defend him? You say, how do you defend him? You defend him by being like him. And how is it to be like him? وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Meaning, if you're not a merciful human being, you can talk all day about the Prophet ﷺ, and you're just talking what they call in Arabic, kalam fadi, empty words. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. You want to defend the Rasulullah, then be like him. How is he? He loved people. He harisun alaykum bil-mu'minina ra'uf rahim. This is his nature. Be like him. You want to defend him? It's not enough to defend him with your mouth or even with your fist. Defend him by being like him, by acting on the basis that he acted with. He was loving to be like, you remember the woman who used to put the thorns in front of his door so that, you know, every day he'd come out and there'd be these thorns in front of his door and then it would give him trouble every day, and then one day he doesn't see them, so what does he do? Say, alhamdulillah, she didn't put the thorns in front of my door today? No, he knows something's wrong with her. I better go see her, maybe she's sick. Huh? That's the Rasulullah. The people, they throw acid in the faces of the girls because they want to go to school and learn. Huh? This is what's happening. And then, what did he say about his wife Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha? He said, you can learn 50% of your deen from this woman, this little red-headed woman. How did she know 50% of the deen? Where did she learn 50% of the deen? Who taught her 50% of the deen? The Rasulullah taught her. And if he taught his wife, don't you think that women need to learn? And if women don't learn, what will be the case of the ummah? Every week in Medina, the Prophet ﷺ had one afternoon in which he invited all the women to sit and he'd teach them. What imam? Where's the imam that's doing that today? This is the defense of the Rasulullah ﷺ. Being like him, acting like him, doing like him, providing like him, giving it like him. That's how you defend him. Not just talking and saying, yeah, he's a great guy, he was this, he was that, he was wonderful, he was kind, he was generous. Okay, that's good to say, but be it. Don't talk about it, be it. And finally, if you're going to quote him, if you're going to say something that he said, then say it accurately. Don't make it up. Don't use weak hadith, don't use things like that. Quote him as accurately as you can quote him. So that when people hear it, it's actually what he really said. Because if not, there will be problems later on. So, here's a program that you can use. This is a program that can work. Who will it work for? For you? It will work for your wife. It will work for your children. And if you have one thing that's together, maybe you can have 10 or 20 or 30 together, and you can build a real community of Muslim believers. A real community of Muslim believers who all are acting together. This is what we want. This is how Islam spreads, by this way. So, follow his sunnah, seek knowledge of him, defend him, defend his sunnah. They say all the things they say about him, all the things they say about him. Who will stand up for the Rasulullah? Who will stand up for Islam? Who will speak the truth to power? Who will speak the truth to all these liars that we have to contend with every day that says Islam is degrading, Islam is this, Islam is terrorism, Islam is that? Us, we are the defenders of the Sunnah. We are the defenders of the Rasulullah. And when you quote him, be accurate in your quotation. So I conclude by telling you one more story. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he asked him, when is the hour? Like, when is the world going to come to an end? The Prophet ﷺ replied with a question. He said, have you prepared for it? Did you prepare for it? Are you getting ready for it? Are you ready for all this to come to an end and be finished? Are you ready for it? The man was honest, alhamdulillah. He was mukhlis, he was sincere. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I haven't really prepared for it enough by the way of prayers, or by the way of fasting, or by even my sadaqah, my zakat. But truly, I love Allah. And